Hi, welcome to the follow-up video. Firstly, the diet, look through, familiarize yourself, start to think about it, start to think about what needs to be in your fridge or your pantry and what doesn't need to be there. Start to clean things out, get rid of things. So that's really a task over the next couple of days. And then look through the recipes, decide what you're going to cook. Remember, it's basic, but you will get fancier and trickier with it as you go on, as you'll explore ways to make the vegetables taste different. And of course we want to do that, otherwise we'll get bored. But there's plenty of vegetables you can use and plenty of options for creating things. And start to look around, talk to other people. Talk to people about how they present vegetables. There's probably 101 different ways. So down to the nitty gritty. You've done the session, or you've done the first of a series of sessions, and you've learned a couple of things. Firstly, the release technique. Release is very, very useful. It's what we use when we're going from one thing to another to let go of the stress of the previous thing. But it's also good in the case of the one thing could be a thought. The thought was about something you saw in the window of the bakery. It could be that you're going into a cafe and you know your friends are going to be ordering muffins and all manner of previously delicious things. Now, there's no denying that these things taste good, but you just know they're not going to work for you. They're going to work dramatically against you, and all you've got to do is look around the streets to see that that's the case. So release, remember, is you just take that breath in, and as you breathe out, just think the word release. Now, when I spoke with you, I mentioned that you could use other words. It could be, depending on the situation, that word could be calm, relax, happy. But release works from the point of view of there's something that's niggling at you and you just want to let it go. So it's just breathe in, think the word release, let it go, and now set your intention. So imagine you've arrived at the cafe, people are ordering, you stand there quietly, you just take a breath in, let it go, release, and set your intention. My intention is to just order coffee. Simple as that. I don't need that thing that goes with it because I'm really not hungry anyway. You might need to do a few breaths. Use this, because what's really good is having strategies that you can use when you're out and about. Terrific. Okay, so the next thing is EFT. EFT, as we discussed, emotional freedom technique, is fantastic. They've actually trialed this at Bond University successfully in food cravings. And really, what is a food craving? A food craving is just an emotional response, if you like. Because we don't actually get addicted to foods. This whole idea that sugar's as addictive as cocaine is basically a load of rubbish. It does activate those centers in our brain where we fire off dopamine, but lots of things do that. You could watch a funny movie, you could share a joke with a friend, you could just do something and feel a little bit silly, you could pat a pet, you could hug a child, you could spend time with a loved one, and you'll get dopamine. There's 101 ways to achieve this. And we don't want food to be that way, because then we start to rely on food. And that's what emotional eating is relying on that food. So remember, the EFT setup on the side of the hand, even though. So for example, you're just really craving for sugar. Even though I could really go for something sugary, or be specific. Even though I would love some milk chocolate. Even though I would love some sweets, some ice cream. You know what it is. You name it in that moment. Even though I just feel I need to eat something sugary to make me feel better. Remember, the setup phrase is always about stating what's going on. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? We use that, we say that 3 times while tapping the karate chop point. Then take a breath in, relax, and we tap the points and we just say whatever the thing is. We take that phrase and squash it down. If it was, even though I could just kill for ice cream, or even though I just feel really upset and I need some ice cream, I love it and accept myself. be tapping top point, need some ice cream, feeling upset, could kill for some ice cream, really need something sweet, this craving, and you just keep tapping the points and you say the things that come up. So as a reminder, top of the head, either side of the eyebrow, either side on the outside, either side underneath the cheekbone, under nose, under lip, across the collarbone. 2 fingers will do, here and here and here. Most of them you can use 2 fingers or a series of fingers and you'll be fine. This is an amazingly powerful technique if you use it, like anything. And then you come down to points on here, points on the thumb, the finger, really important. Forgiveness point. I forgive myself for wanting this sugar. I forgive whatever that led me to feel this way. And you'll know what it is. And I choose, it's an important thing to say, I choose to just be happy within myself. Tapping, now we could do 2 or 3 rounds in that one. In the instance that I just mentioned, that you felt upset about the sugar, well really it's not so much about sugar, upset and you wanted sugar, it's not so much about wanting sugar, it's about the upset. So what is the upset? What is the feeling? What is the feeling that you were experiencing that led you to this? Well, I might be angry, I might be disappointed, I might be sad, I might feel shame, I might just be wanting to throttle someone. And that's what you do. Even though I'm so angry that this thing happened, and you would name that thing. I love and accept myself, and I choose not to eat sugar. I choose not to eat junk food to try and make myself feel better because I know it'll only make me feel worse. There's an example of a setup phrase. The more you do this, the easier it gets, the better you get at it. So you will do, say, 2 or 3 rounds, you'll take a deep breath, and you'll just notice how you feel. And then, it's like the release. You do the release technique. Remember, you breathe in, you breathe out, thinking the word release. Then you set the intention. In the case we said before, the intention was to just have coffee without any sweets to eat with it. Or to enjoy a meal without having to have dessert. Or enjoy a meal without having to have pasta or potato. In this case, you've come to the EFT with a feeling. The feeling might be angry. And you tap through it until you feel it's flattened. And then, well, ask yourself, how do I want to feel? And when you decide how you want to feel, you say, I want to feel happy. Well, that's when we're going to tap this point here. It's called the 9 gamut point. And I'll be tapping that point. I choose to feel happy. I am happy. This is also your identity point. Remember, we discussed your identity. What is your new identity? Your identity was the person who just has to look at food and you put on weight. Your identity was the person who craves food, or you're emotionally in need of food to make yourself feel better. Well, all those things are just thoughts and beliefs that aren't true. So what is the belief now? What is the true belief? What is the identity? Perhaps you chose an identity of, I'm a healthy, active person who eats really well. And that's when you lock this in here. I am a healthy, active person who eats really well. And I feel so happy when I'm doing this. I feel so good. This is simple. Listen to this again and again. Get yourself used to it. Remember, we've got the points, top of the head. Also good for anxiety, as is this one, good for anxiety. This point here for forgiveness. The rest of the points, we're just using the either hand, either side, releasing, releasing. Letting go of those thoughts, letting go of those emotions. And remember, when you come back to it and you're sitting there, just think to yourself, what do I think or feel? And the thought might be, well, I still feel a bit, I was angry, but now I'm a little bit sad. Then you would tap for sadness. So that's great. You'll work through all of those things. Now, the other thing you can do at the start is, if you're feeling a certain degree of emotion, is give it a rating. Well, how out of 10, how angry am I? Well, I'm a 10. Out of 10, how much do I want this sugar? Well, it's a 10. And then you bring it around, do 3 rounds or so, and then think to yourself, what's the rating now? Well, maybe it's a 6, maybe it's a 2. Keep going till you flatten it. And then, when you've flattened it, always do this point here with the feeling that you want. I'm happy. I feel good about myself. All positive statements here. All positive statements. So thank you. I wish you the very, very best. Use the release technique whenever you need it. You can do it anywhere. You don't have to close your eyes. You can just be standing in that queue. You can just be walking past a window. Someone can be putting food on the table and you can just let it go. Just release it. Just release the desire for that if there's a desire. Now, of course, the longer you stay away from those sugar foods, which as we know, include things like pasta and potatoes and rice and breads, the easier and easier it gets. And what you will find, I wouldn't be surprised, that when you come back to them, when you've planned that particular meal, that when you have it, it's like, that was okay. But you know what? If on the flip side, it's absolutely amazing, you can say, well, fantastic. The next time I decide to have a cheat meal in a couple of months or for a special occasion, that's what I'll have. And it doesn't matter. Thank you. I'm Ian Newton. Care for yourself. Live your new identity. Work with this dietary program. You will feel so good for doing it. Thank you.